If you currently could get a hold of one Bitcoin, you'll be able to sell that for 10,781 US dollars, according to the US stock market from last night. The creator of Bitcoin is unknown, but he goes over the username Satoshi Nakamoto. And according to the theory beyond the codes by Michael Bencourt, he is worth billions of dollars right now. Now, this billion-dollar idea can seem intimidating at first, and a lot of foreign language like mining and cryptocurrency is used. But after researching and having a basic knowledge of the subject, I can say that it is, at its core, a species of online currency like PayPal or Venmo. Now, throughout my speech, I'm going to be diving into what is Bitcoin, why is it so secure, and a few ways that you yourself, if you want to invest, could obtain some Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. And if you don't know what cryptocurrency is, the definition, according to Pedro Franco in his book Understanding Bitcoin, is a digital currency in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units of currency and verify the transfer of funds operating independently of a central bank. Now, that's a very lengthy definition, and it's just trying to explain that cryptocurrency is an online currency that does not need a bank, so it cuts out the middleman, and also uses secure encryption codes so that the security is crazy high. This is what the base of Bitcoin is. It has no physical representation such as like the US dollar, but instead is solely relied on encryptions that is online. So instead of having a bank such as the US dollar would, Bitcoin uses a public record, which is simply that everyone that has a Bitcoin wallet is able to see everyone else's transactions and everyone else's Bitcoin wallet, so that everybody knows and everyone is understanding where the Bitcoin is and where it moves around. So, as an example, let's say I walk into the store and I want to buy this cool new white Hydro Flask, and I have $30 that I could use to pay for it, but I recently invested in Bitcoin, so I have 0.002715 of a Bitcoin, which is roughly $30. So let's say the store takes Bitcoin, so I'm like, all right. So I take my Bitcoin wallet, which is usually on my phone, and I would scan it. And so that 0.002715 Bitcoin transaction would then be sent to the cloud, which is seen as the diagram. And when it's sent to the Bitcoin server, and once it's been sent to the Bitcoin server, a decryption is then released and on the server. And once the decryption is released, all the computers talk together and simply figure out the correct decryption for that transaction, and then is sent to what I'm trying to buy, which is the Hydro Flask, or the person I'm trying to buy it from. Now, I'm going to go into what this decryption process is, because it may seem really complicated, but it's pretty simple. So, just imagine that the security of Bitcoin is the security of Bitcoin is not like a PIN from your credit card. The security for Bitcoin has unique passcodes every single time you buy something. So instead of if you have your PIN for your credit card, a Bitcoin has a PIN just like that, except almost 1,000,000 times more complicated than that. If you want to see some of the math behind it, someone tried doing math by hand, and this is what one of the encryptions would look like if just doing it by hand, and that's for one transaction. And the typical time for a computer to solve this is about 10 minutes, and the basic use of it is just using guess and check. And so with every transaction having its own unique key, it's very unlikely that someone would be able to not only guess that transaction key, but be able to figure out and copy what is able to be replicated to be able to be stolen. So that's one of the main reasons why Bitcoin is so up on the market right now, is because it's untraceable, because almost no one knows who is actually buying it. And not only that, is there's no name attached to transaction, so it's untraceable and it's just like anonymous. So now that you know you have a basic idea of what Bitcoin is, now you'll be able to understand if you want to try to buy it. Now there's a few ways you can obtain some Bitcoin. The first way is to mine Bitcoin, and mining is simply a term that is conned up from solving equations. So the encryptions I was talking about earlier is Bitcoin needs people to run these encryptions for the security sake. So to get people to be running their equations for them, they offer an incentive, which is to pay users that run encryptions in Bitcoin. So if you really want to, and you have a good computer, you could simply go online, get a Bitcoin wallet from bitcoin.org, and then be able to start mining right now if you really want to. And usually the average amount of money you can make is around like $4 to $5 a day, which isn't too much. But since we live on a university and electricity is free right now is like the prime time to mine if you want to. Now the second way to buy Bitcoin is just traditionally just off the stock market. So as I stated before in my speech on the intro, that one Bitcoin is worth 10,781 to 1. So if you're feeling it right now and you have $10,000 just laying around, then you could just simply go to Wall Street. You don't have to go to Wall Street, but just go online and just offer $10,000, and someone's probably willing to sell you one Bitcoin. Now, it's up to you if you want to invest in Bitcoin or not, because right now I'll be showing you what the trend lines is. And as you can see, it's been actually a very steady incline until recently, a few months ago, which it shot up to almost $20,000 for one Bitcoin. And that is one of the main reasons why everyone started investing, especially the last few months, is because of how much it increased. But past the last few months, Bitcoin has drastically went down, and it's actually gone down before I even took this diagram. Right now it says it's at $13,000 when it's actually at $10,000. But so right now, Bitcoin is still fluctuating in price, and so it's up to you if you actually really want to invest it or not. And depending on the future of Bitcoin, it depends on the economist you ask. According to the Ledger and the economist Robert Hackett, he predicts that Bitcoin could be either going up to the 100,000s in a few decades, or it could be obsolete in a few decades. It really depends on just how the market reacts to many of the decisions made by Bitcoin. But overall, I hope that this speech was informative about Bitcoin, and that you understand that it's still heavily affecting the market, as you see, and that the future of Bitcoin is unknown.